Hey, so I wasn't meaning to do a video tonight, but do you ever have that instance when you read a book, you've no idea what you're getting into? It's completely new. You basically bought it because the very brief synopsis seemed intriguing. You flick through it, the art looked interesting. It looked kind of like full of energy. It was very good value as well, and the cover looked cool as well. 29 seconds. I best not swear yet. um, and that's just what it was for this. I've got to share this. I've just got to share it. So the book in question is Blades of the Guardians. Apparently, it's been made into a series, into either one or two films as well. In I think it's China or Hong Kong, somewhere like that. So this is from Kana, who are the manga branch of Abrams Comic Arts, and it's it looks kind of like Lone Wolfy, doesn't it, on the cover? It's actually a manhwa, which is the terminology what's used to cover um, Korean manga and also Taiwanese manga, Thai manga, and in this case, Chinese manga. First of all, being a Kana book, it has this really cool. I love the Kana manga. They all come with these detachable covers. So that's the cover, and it has this brief synopsis on here. It says the Road Western unfurls. It's the third year of Day 607 AD, and the people of Su dynasty are struggling in poverty under the brutal rule of Emperor Yang Guang. Enter Daomao, a skilled bounty hunter traveling the Gobi Desert on the fringes of the empire with his sack of throwaway swords and a list of heads to scalp. He's on a personal quest beyond making ends meet to repay his debts to a foster godfather whom he owes both his life and the life of his 3-year-old son, Zhao Qi. When Daomar takes on an escort mission to bodyguard an enigmatic fugitive to the imperial capital, Chang'an, he treats it as a simple, high-paying job. Little does he know that the client is a dangerous mystic pulling strings that may uproot the empire from its very foundations. Will this mercenary know not to stick his own neck into prophecy? Now, what I will say with this synopsis here, it's they should have stopped it around about here because this covers basically the last 10 pages of the book, and there's like 280 pages in here, which is annoying because it kind of like reveals more of what's going to come in the following book. But that's my only gripe. Like I said, I love how they do the covers on Kana. So that's the cover underneath. Another good thing is, like I said, there's nearly 280 pages. If you think an American comic is 20 pages, Special Marvel, $4.99 at the least, um, this in the America is $12.99 or £9.99. This I put this on my I put it on the thumbnail that it's a perfect mix of Lone Wolf and Cub, Fist of the North Star, and Conan. Now the reason I say that, it's got the ultra hyper stylized manga violence of Fist of the North Star, where there's like these big bosses that are gigantic with like a bit of ultra violence thrown in with unrealistic fighting, what looks cool as fuck. It's gone past the 1 minute mark, so I swear now. it's but it also has the lone wolf sensibilities where he's this lone swordsman with his 3-year-old child. His 3-year-old child's coolness. He gets all the best lines. That's the big difference as well. His child does speak, and it's got the Conan thing where there's fantastical elements like the. If you ever seen like Monkey and other Chinese proverb like mythology TV series where they've got this fantastical element, so that's where the Conan bit comes in, and it's perfect if you like anything like that. So the interior pages start off these color bits. The art is very, very reminiscent of the art from Lone Wolf and Cub, and a bit of Blade of the Immortal as well. So that's his cute little kid. So it starts off with this classic, almost tropey scene where he enters a bar, and he's basically hunting down this gang because they've got a bounty on their heads. And then there's this really kick-ass fight scene. He asks his little son, to think of a number and count to it. And his son says, "Okay, we'll count to 9." He said, "Okay, that'll be enough time." So he basically dispatches this gang in really cartoony, brutal ways. And that's a great page. And that basically finishes that chapter. He moves on to almost like this desert landscape, the Gobi Desert. Again, this reminds me of the Lone Wolf and Cub film, which is one of my all-time favorite Japanese films, where he's like just wandering about. And this is where the fantastical element starts to creep in. So they discover all these soldiers uh, beheaded and slain, etc. And then they notice this character here who's like a goblin kind of character. And so there's been a fight between like these kind of like demonic kind of characters and like these almost like these villagers. And they find these stragglers, one of them who's had his face ripped off. And so this moves us to the next chapter and introduces you to some of the rest of the cast. One of them, oh yeah, this is just kick-ass as well. This is one of them. This is like his, almost like his stepsister. It's he basically works for this old guy who's like his godfather, and this is one of the godfather's wards as well. So it shows you how badass he is. So he takes this injured guy and his friend to his godfather, and this is his godfather here, and he's just ministering and looking after him. And he just says to him, "I've got a job for you." And so he enters this town, very Western like he, almost like a Sergio Leone kind of scene setting there. So he enters Chisha town. I love the chapter, how they break it up as well. It's very scenic. Like I said, it's almost got a filmic quality to it. Enters this bar. This young lad's working there. And that gang leader from earlier is there because he let him live if he gave him all his money. And so he's basically now introduced to the guy who runs the town, and it's this huge mofo here. And he basically is rationing everybody's water supply. He's trying to make everybody's life misery so he can just rule them with an iron fist. And then this guy who runs the guest house where he's staying has this curious tattoo on, and it reveals that he's got a history of being somebody who he's trying to forget that he was. I won't go into too much. I don't mind showing the setup, but let's just have a look at some of these fight scenes. As I said, very Fist of the North Star, very exaggerated. It's just wonderful. It's that kind of manga style violence where everything's heightened, so it's very very stylish and it's impactful, but you don't look away. You just kind of look at it again. That is cool as fuck. If that makes any sense. I mean, you can imagine that being on like a martial arts film where like the 70s one, the jets of spray of blood just rising up. And again, he's such a cool badass character. And so this leads to this chapter, which is a really fun. In some hands, it could be really boring and dull and drawn out. This really fun, basically like boss battle between three main characters. And again, very very dynamic. And so that sets the stage for the final part of the book. So you get these shadowy characters with this character. This character reminds me of the villain from Starfleet, if you remember that old 80s um, sci-fi series where they had that kind of half face. So they're kind of like a sorcerer kind of character. This is just gorgeous. Some of the artwork in here, it goes very painterly in here with the ink washes. And this is just like this wonderful chasing which goes on for pages and pages. And so all this leads him to this other town where he meets up with his godfather. And this is where his new quest is set up with this mysterious character here. And I'll leave it there, but this was a blast. Like I said, it's only in the UK, it's only £9.99 full price. You get nearly 300 pages and no pages wasted. The art is kinetic, full of energy. It's got that wonderful rough cross hatching what you get in Lone Wolf and Cub with some beautiful ink washes as well. It's got this wonderful blend and fusion of actual Chinese historical events with a heavy dose of fantasy. So it livens it up, gives it a bit of pep. Yeah, I would recommend this to anybody. Basically, it's just a really good, fun period fantasy graphic novel. Who cares if it's manhwa? Who cares if it's manga? Who cares? Whatever it is, it's just fun, very reasonably priced. Like I said, you get for this price, you could waste your money on 6 subpar monthly comics. Highly, highly recommended. I give it a good solid. I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 because I can't wait to see what they'll do with the second part because I think it's going to get really, really epic with this new quest that he's on. But yeah, go and check it out. It's not been out very long. Blades of Guardians, Volume 1 from the publisher Kana. So that's the cover if you want to look for it. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Bye.